What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Ralphdatrader here, back with another video. Today's video, I would like to do a weekly recap on NQ. Also, Nasdaq. I would just like to review this past week to see if the setup that I look for presented itself. Okay. And the only setup that I look for, you guys, is the reversal setup. Now, when it comes to the reversal setup, there are two variations of the reversal setup. The first variation we can have is the dump coil pump or the pump coil dump. All right. The second variation can be the trap and shift. It can be A top or V bottom. They are both reversal patterns. That is the pattern that I'm hunting, a reversal pattern. It can either be dump coil pump, pump coil dump, or trap and shift A top V bottom. That's what I'm looking for. All right. And these daily signal that I'm looking for is the closing breakout and the inside day. Okay. The closing breakout, if you don't know what closing breakout is, it is when a market closes above or below a daily level. All right. So you can see here, this is our previous day's high. We would need price at the end of that day. We would need price to close above this level or below the level, the low of the day. Okay. And the inside day, we're looking for price to close inside of a previous day's high and a previous day's low. Okay. Those are the only two daily signals that I am looking for. All right. So told you guys about the pattern that I'm hunting, and I told you guys about the signals that I'm hunting. So now I would like to walk through this past week on NQ to see if we got the signal and if the setup presented itself. All right. So let's get right into it. Now, first things first, okay, we need a daily signal. All right. And like always, I will always shout out Yannico for creating this indicator that gives us the daily signal. Okay. So shout out to Yannico for creating this indicator that gives us the daily signal. So for me, like I said in the previous video, there's no reason for me to look at the daily time frame. Okay. This is the daily signal for me. So now, as we get into Monday, do I have a closing breakout or inside day signal on Friday? And yes, on that Friday, I had a market that closed in breakout. Once again, a closing breakout is when a market closes above a previous day's level. Okay. Next thing I like to do is check the news. Do I have any major red news out? Right. So if we take a look at Forex Factory, that is what I look at when I check the news. You can use whatever website that you prefer to use, but I look at Forex Factory. So when it comes to Monday, we had no major red news. We only had some medium impact news at 12 p.m. So we had the green light, no major red news. Okay. Now, as we get back into the chart, what do we have on Monday? Okay. So we have our closing breakout signal, our daily signal. Okay, we have our daily signal. So only what the daily signal means is that we can put NQ on our watch list. Okay, so mainly for me, I only trade NQ. Every now and then I will look at the Dow Jones, but for me, I'm mainly watching NQ. So if I don't have a signal, a daily signal on NQ, or if it does not break out on the give me a signal and break out on the day itself, I will not trade it. Okay, that's just me. Okay, so we have our daily signal. All right, we have our daily signal. Market closes in breakout, closes above a previous day's high. Now, as you guys can see, during the London session, London gave a nice little dump. So London gave a nice pump coil dump for our London session traders. You got a nice uh you got the nice little dump, pump coil and dump in the London session. But for me, I'm trading the New York session and I'm waiting until after 9:30 Eastern Standard Time because that's is when the indices open. All right. So coming into the New York session using this is on the 15-minute time frame. We have our daily signal. We have no major red news. London session gives us a nice dump. You can see heading up into our New York session, the market starts to go sideways. The market is starting to coil sideways. Okay. Now, as the New York session opens up at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, we get some great volume here at 9:30. All right. We have a nice volume candle here, no wick at the bottom. Price is pushing up, come right up to our closing price level in 9:45. It's for me, it's go time. Okay. This is where I'm entering in this trade at because I have my setup. I have the dump, the coil, and I get the pump. This 9:30 candle closes with a nice bullish candle here, nice volume. That is the green light for me to enter this trade. And when you look at it, we're right at a level. Okay. So for me, the trade will look something like this here. This is what this trade will look like for me. Okay. This is what it would look like. I will be entering in at 9:45 due to the fact that the setup was there. I had the daily signal, okay, and the market set up heading into my session, and we can clearly see that this trade clearly went more than 100 points. All right, so if you trading a mini on NQ, 100 points, that's $2,000. Okay, if you're trading a micro, all right, 100 points, that's $200. Okay, so but we can clearly see that this thing went about 175 points. So, all right, you do the math on that. All right, you do the math, but just to show you guys that everything lined up for me. I had a daily signal and the setup presented itself heading into my session. Okay. Dump, coil, pump. And just to show you guys, we get the same thing here. What do we get? We get the dump, the coil, and the pump. All right. That is the setup. Dump, coil, pump. All right. What do we get? Dump, coil, pump. All right. Now let's go into Tuesday. All right. What do we get on Tuesday? First thing we need is we need a daily signal. Did I get a closing breakout or did I get an inside day signal? Those are my signals. They might not be the signal that you're looking for, but I'm referencing for myself. I need a closing breakout or a inside day signal. I got that. Okay. I had a market I had a market that closed above a previous day's level, and we also closed above the previous week's level. So I have my signal. I have my daily signal. So I can put NQ on my watch list. All right. Now that doesn't mean because I have a signal that the market is going to set up. Okay. That doesn't mean it's going to set up. All right. It just means that we can put NQ on the watch list. Okay. And then we can wait and see how price behaves in our session. Okay. So we have our daily signal, market closes in breakout, closes above a previous day's level. And what type of news do we have on the day? Okay. What news do we have coming in on Tuesday? So on Tuesday, we have some major red news flash manufacturing PMI at 9:45. All right. We have PDT speaking at 9:50, and we have some Richmond manufacturing indexes at 10:05. So we have major red news is at 9:45. Okay. And we have another major red news at 12:35. Now, this is discretionary trading. Okay. Discretionary trading. So we know our news events. Okay. We have our news events. We have our we have our daily signal. Okay. So now we need to see if price is going to be setting up in the New York session. Okay. So as you guys can see, all right, heading into our New York session, we can see that this market was just basically accumulating sideways. So we have a nice coil sideways heading into our New York session, knowing that we had major red news out at 12. I mean at 9:45 and some medium impact news around 10, and then we had more major red news at 12:30. Now, we get the setup. The setup is there, guys. Pump, coil, and you can see, after all this is played out, we get the pump, coil, dump. All right. So we have our higher time, we have our daily signal, we have got the nice pump, we get the coil. Now we had major red news, like I said, at 9:45. Okay. Now, if you go down to a smaller time frame, all right. So if we go down to the 5 minute time frame, you guys can see that on that Tuesday, if you're using the 5 minute time frame, all right. If you're using the 5 minute time frame, you could have entered into this trade. Okay. We could have taken this trade because everything lined up. You can clearly see that even with our 5 minute entry criteria, this is the 9:30 when the market opened. Okay, so you could have entered in at 9:35. All right, right at CP level. You could have got in at 9:40. All right, knowing that we had major red news out at 9:45. But like I said, discretionary trading, you can get in when you want. Me personally, guys, I would definitely have gotten in at 9:35 because everything lined up. I got a nice pump, coil, all right, dump. But if you wanted to wait until after 12, when Powell was speaking after 12:30, you could have done so as you could have done that as well. It's up to you. It's discretionary trading, okay? Even though, we had that major red news, so you could have extended your timing window if you did not have any other any other instrument that you were looking at. But like I said, for me, I mainly trade in Q. So this would be the instrument that I was looking for. And plus my setup was there. I had the daily signal. Okay. I got the nice pump coil and then we get the dump. And like I said, I would have entered here. So the trade would have looked something like this. I would have entered here because everything lined up for me. This would have been an entry for me. And this how it would have looked. And you can see that we did complete this whole came right back into this whole move on Monday. Now, if you wanted to wait, okay, if you like I said, if you wanted to wait until after 12:30, okay, you could have done that as well. Let's go back to the 15-minute time frame. Now, if you wanted to wait until after 12:30 now, after they came back from lunch, after all the news and everything was over, you had an entry, guys. You had an entry at 1:15. Okay. Get this nice bearish candle to the downside. Everything was already still lined up for you. So you get a market that dump oil, and it continued with the existing trend. So right here at 115, you could have taken a entry, and you still got way over 100 points. So you could have entered here as well. So if you, it would have looked something like this for me. Okay, boom. This was a trade if you were still looking at it, because remember we had major red news out at 12:30. If you did not have any other instrument that you were looking at, maybe this might have been out of your timing that you prefer not to trade. It's discretionary trading, so it's all up to you. But I'm just showing you guys that the setup was there. Okay, the setup was still there. So we had the nice pump, pull, and dump. Pump, coil, dump, reversal. It's a reversal, guys. Just pump, coil, and dump is just a reversal. All right. So we got that. We had the daily signal and we had the setup. Okay. Everything played out. All right. Now, going into Free Cash Wednesday, what daily signal did I get? Did I get an inside day or did I get a closing breakout? Those are the only two that I'm looking for. Okay. We got an inside day signal. Inside day, meaning price closes inside of a previous day's high and a previous day's low. So I have my daily signal. We can put NQ on the watch list. Now, when it comes to the inside day signal, it can offer a trend trade or a reversal trade setup. Okay, trend trade or a reversal trade setup. Now, we that does that mean we would get a setup on the next day? No, it does not mean because we have a daily signal that we will get a setup on the next day. All the signal means that we can add this instrument to our watch list. Now, for me, like I said, it is mainly the only instrument that I trade. So I would be looking to see if it sets up during the New York session. All right. So I have my signal day. I have my daily signal. Now I would check the news. What news do I have on Free Cash Wednesday? So on Wednesday, okay, Wednesday, I have no major red news out on Wednesday. All right. So Wednesday, which is day three, okay, which is day three. All right. And also it's the reset day that we know of. Okay. So I have the inside day signal. How does price behave in the session that you're trading? So how is price behaving in the session that I'm trading. What is the setup that I'm looking for? I'm looking for the pump coil or dump, the trap and shift, or I'm looking for the dump coil and pump. So as you guys can see here, during the Asian session, this market was basically moving sideways. We was accumulating. London session gives us a little small pump here. All right, give us a little small pump. And as you guys can see, we're at a previous week's high level. All right, London session puts in a higher high. During our gap time, heading into our New York session, this market is basically coiling sideways up into the New York session. In New York session opens up here at 9:30, giving us a nice engulfing candle here, closing below closing price level. All right. So on the 15-minute time frame, we get a nice pump, coil, dump. 9:45, right at the CP level, is an entry. So we had no major red news out. So for me, the trade would look like this. Okay. This is how the trade would look. Boom. Pump, coil, dump. And once again, this went more than 100 points. All right. So once again, we get a pump, a coil, then we get a dump. All right. Now it's not as big as it was on from Monday to Tuesday, but it's a smaller pump, coil, and dump. It's still the same setup, guys, coming off of a previous week's high level. So we're coming off of a level, all right, of a previous week's high level. Pump, coil, dump. All right, same setup. Okay, it is the same setup that I'm looking for, guys. Nothing changes. All right. Now heading into our free cash Thursday. What daily signal did I get? Okay, out of the two daily signals that I look for, I got a closing breakout. Once again, closing breakout is when a market closes below or above a daily level. So we get a market that closes in breakout. All right. So I have my daily signal. Now I would check the news. Okay. Check the news on Thursday. On Thursday, we have major red news at 8:30. Major red news at 8:30. Then we have some medium impact news around 10 a.m. Okay. So major red news at 8:30. So the major red news at 8:30 doesn't even affect me because I don't look at the chart and I don't come to the charts and I'm not looking. And we know that the indexes do not open up until 9:30. All right. 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. All right. So the major red news at 8:30, I'm not even worrying about it because I'm not even at the chart at that time. So as we guys can see that heading into our New York session, London session puts in a lower low, we get a lower high, and this market starts to dump down. All right. In the pre-market, we start to dump down. And now we trigger the previous day's low. So we get a signal on the day as well. So we have our daily signal, and we get a market that gives us a signal on the day as well. It triggers a previous day's low, trigger breakout traders in the market. At 9:30, market opens up with an explosive move to the downside. Okay. All this volume explodes to the downside. Now, like Stacey always say, if it's a reversal pattern, they will reverse the market quickly. Okay. 9:30 explode to the downside. Okay. 9:45, buyers start to take back over the market. As you guys can see, they push the market up and, you know, it closes as a tweezer bottom. A tweezer bottom is a reversal candlestick pattern. All right. That is a candlestick pattern that I look for. So 10 a.m. club. Okay. 10 a.m. club. There's our trade, guys. Boom. And for me, it would look like this. There's our trade. There's our trade. And you can target the previous day's low level. But we can clearly see we had 100 points, but you can see that this went way over 100 points. But I typically aim for 100 points. Okay. And this is the trade. Everything lined up. I had everything. Okay. I had my daily signal. All right. I had my daily signal and my setup was there. Okay. We get the daily signal and the setup was there. We get the trap and shift pattern. We get the trap and shift. All right. The V bottom. Okay. We get the V bottom on free cash Thursday. Trap and shift, baby. Trap and shift. Reversal. Okay. All the other days we got the pump, coil, and dump. On Thursday, we got the trap and shift, V bottom. We had our daily signal. We got a market that also breached the previous day's low, giving us a signal on the day as well. 9:30 opens up. We get a reversal candlestick pattern for me, which is a tweezer bottom. This is a reversal candlestick pattern. 10 a.m. club, you're in there. All right. You're in there. So 4 days so far we had a setup. Okay, well, I had a setup. What I look for, I had a setup on NQ. Now, heading into Free Cash Friday, first things first, did I receive a daily signal? Did we get a daily signal? Now, the signals that I like to look for, like I told you guys, is the closing breakout in the inside day. Now, as you guys can see, there's no daily signal here. Like I always say, I'm gonna shout out Yannico for creating this daily signal indicator. Okay, so for the ones that I have checked off, the closing breakout and inside day is not up here. So I do not get a daily signal. Now, I did not get a daily signal. What do I do? It doesn't go on the watch list. Okay. If you're somebody that's looking at NQ and you looking for a closing breakout or inside day signal, it doesn't go on your watch list because you did not get that daily signal. Okay. Now, did it break out on the day? Nope. It didn't even break out on the day to give us a signal on the day. Okay. It is inside. So NQ is is diddly. 49.51. No signal, no setup. Okay. No signal, no setup on NQ on Free Cash Friday. All right. So we got nothing on Free Cash Friday, but we could have taken advantage of NQ 4 days out of the week. Okay. You could have been one and done on a Monday. You could have been because you have your signal, you got the dump, coil, and pump on a Monday. You could have been one and done on a Tuesday. You get a pump, coil, and dump. You could have been one and done on a Wednesday. You get a smaller version, pump, coil, and dump. Or you could have been one and done on a Thursday where you get a trap and ship. It's all up to you guys. It's all up to you. All right. But I'm just here to show you guys that this one instrument, 4 days out of the week, gave us a daily signal and gave us the setup. Pump, coil, and dump, coil, and pump, trap, and shift. 4 days out of the week, we could have been good. So if you guys like this video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I will be trying to drop more content for you guys. And this is this is not just for NQ. Just so you guys know, you can do this on any instrument, okay? On any instrument that you choose. But I love to trade NQ, so this is why I like to go back and just recap on NQ. All right. So that's all I got, man. Like always, guys, work hard, stay disciplined, and be patient, and your time will come. Peace and love. Have a good one.